So I like, look, Mom, I found me an apartment. I love you. I went in there, I ate with her, brought food there, showered there, and would pull up maybe 3 or 4 blocks away from her home, and that's where I went to sleep at. So I spent 6, 7, 8 months sleeping in my car, sneaking inside my girlfriend's apartment, um, and I got very pissed off. So a New Horizon. I got so pissed off, I'm gonna ask the audience, what you guys think I did?
Organized.
That's beautiful.
Got a place to stay.
Before then. That's the end results, yes. So I got so pissed off, I helped pass new housing rights for formerly incarcerated individuals and their families. This ordinance is called the Fair Chance Housing Ordinance, and it got passed in Oakland and in Berkeley. Unfortunately, when it was time for us to go to the Board of Supervisors to get this ordinance passed throughout Alameda County as a whole, 2 of our champions passed away, Wilma Chan, Richard Baez. When they passed away, the individuals who took their place decided they didn't want fair chance housing in their communities. They didn't see the problem. They saying homelessness is not their problem. They don't have a problem. They say homelessness is a problem of Oakland and in Berkeley. So, not to rain on the parade. Due to fair chance housing getting passed in Oakland and Berkeley, and though I was in a whole nother city hiding out, when it got passed, they televised it, they put it in the newspapers, and where I was hiding out at, a member from the, that community who was working there spotted me in the parking lot and said, "Hey, you, I know who you are. You don't have to hide anymore. You can get on the lease." So from there, from the works that we've done in Oakland and Berkeley, now fair chance housing is being passed throughout the state of California. We have new fair chance housing ordinance laws in other states outside of California. And the new horizon is that, as I stated at the beginning, those who were responsible directly and indirectly of destroying their communities are the experts and at the center of rebuilding our communities. And that's the new horizon. That's the message I have for the new horizon. So I'm gonna ask the audience at this time, is there any questions, any comments? Yes, sir.
So since the ordinance passed in Oakland and Berkeley, I know we can stay at someone's house that has Section 8 now, but can we apply as for Section 8 ourselves to where we can get on Section 8 housing waiting list as formerly incarcerated persons?
That is a very excellent question, and thank you for asking. Yes. So not only does the Fair Chance Housing Ordinance law prevent landlords from discriminating against individuals who have a criminal history, right? We can also live, when we come home, we can live with a loved one who's on Section 8 and other subsidized housing. And we can also get on the lease and get the lease of our own.
That's great.
Any more questions? So I want to tell you guys a story of why Fair Chance Housing Ordinance is so important. And it's so important, especially for women. Because if I'm an evil individual, if I'm an evil man, and a woman come home from incarceration, And I know that the only way that she can get her children back is she got to have stable housing. So when she come live with me, she have to please me, and everywhere I want her to please me. She got to leave involuntary servitude, which is a state of slavery inside the prison system. Then she got to parole to my evil slavery system. Whether it's sexually, well, I want you to clean my home, I want you to clean my home, wherever it is, right? And if she don't please me the way I want her to please me, I could call a parole officer and say, hey, she can't live here no more. And I know that she may lose that chance, that first chance she have of getting her children back. So that's why fair chance housing ordinance is very important, especially for women. Now, one of my coworkers that was on this campaign with me, she's a grandmother, and her grandson lived with her. Her son had parole. And when her son came to her home, she said, son, I'm sorry, but you can't live here. She said, I'm on Section 8. And if you get caught, we all gonna be homeless. They're gonna kick us out. So me and this elder was in Berkeley at the mayor's office. And she was explaining to the mayor and his staff that she had to turn her son away. When one of the staff members of the mayor tapped her on the shoulder and said, unfortunately, I have bad news for you. She said, your son had just been murdered. So her son was like me, couldn't find a place to live where he was born and raised at, solely based on him having a criminal history. Nothing, it's not based on him destroying someone's property in the past or not paying rent. So he had went down to Southern California because he couldn't find a place in Northern California to live. So he went down there and found an apartment, and 3 days later someone murdered him, saying he was playing his music too loud. So now when she tell her story, and she say that had my son had the opportunity to live with me, he'd still be living today. So this fair chance housing, this housing discrimination not only affects those of us who are formerly incarcerated, but it affects our children and it affects our mothers. We are going to start this campaign back up in Alameda County to get fair chance housing passed throughout Alameda County. And I'm asking all my partners that's here today to let's learn about fair chance housing, let's support fair chance housing. And let me say this, that there was a survey that was conducted, and it was found that 73% of the men and women who are in homelessness encampments, 73% of them had a criminal history. So that goes to show that homelessness and having a criminal history is a correlation. It interlocks, right? So in order for us to end homelessness, we must pass these housing laws, right, that would allow formerly incarcerated individuals and their family members to live in places where they was born and raised at. So I'm gonna stop at this time and ask anyone in the audience, do they have any comment, questions? And I'm hoping someone, yes, thank you.
I have to say that I'm asking this in my very personal capacity. There are a bunch of races for Board of Supervisors in Alameda County. Do you all have any recommendations that for candidates who might be more supportive of fair chance housing? Since we know how it went down last time.
The new Board of Supervisors, those are who are running right now. Those, I know Nate Miley is, what's her name? I keep wondering, is it Jessica? No, that's not her name. Anyone could tell me the young lady right now that she's a nurse and she's running against Nate Miley?
Yes, Jennifer Esteem.
Esteem, yes, Jennifer Esteem. So we're in the process of getting to meet Jennifer Esteem and to introduce Fair Chance Housing to her and see her position on it. Such as individuals like Nikki Bass. So yes, and there were a few individuals that was on the board of supervisors who was interested and supported Fair Chance Housing. But you know, you have to have 3 out of the 5 votes. And we had 3 votes, and 2 of our champions passed away.
Who's your remaining
Yep.
champion?
I'm sorry?
Who's your remaining champion?
That's a wobbly right now.
Okay.
Question over here.
Yes,
I think
ma'am.
I just have a comment. What's been alarming to me, and like you said that, you know, we have failed in so many levels. And like you said, you can't blame the offenders because if they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, we failed them. You know, we failed them. And we have to own it, and do what we can to do to improve it. But what's alarming to me is that so many children are homeless. I understand we're talking about formerly incarcerated folks, but a lot of children, I've never seen it at this rate. Children are homeless. And that was I feel like we've kind of just checked out. You know, we don't even care if we see a little baby on the street. So, you know, it's just, I've never seen that you would turn your back on a child, and you don't care if it's sleeping on the street. So, like I said, we've failed on so many levels. I don't even see our way out of it. It's kind of sad that I feel like there's no like hope, because we've just we've just checked out, and it's every man for themselves right now. So I'm just hoping that, when you're talking about the formerly incarcerated folks, I understand this is what this event is about, but I feel children too seem to be leading in the homeless ranks right now. And that's a sad thing as a child to don't have anywhere to live, and it's becoming normal. It's normal. It's normal. And we've normalized so many things that it's just, what my grandma said, we just closed our eyes to it. So I'm hoping that there's starting to be some resources out here to help children. And when I say children, I mean children as ages 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, I'll share my testimony. I was in Popeye's Chicken, and this is 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm on lunch, and I seen a young boy sitting there. He just looked out of place. And he had a video game, and he seemed to be unkept. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Are you okay?" I said, "You don't have school today?" He looked at me. Someone had given him something to drink. I said, "What you eat today?" He said, "I'm okay." I said, you live around here?" He said, "No." And I said, "What you about 9 or 10? He said, "I'm 11. I said, "Okay." I said, "Where you finna go right now?" And I'm just talking to him. He said, "With my friend." So another little boy his age come into Popeye's Chicken. I said, "Oh, that's your friend?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Where y'all going now?" "We don't know." So they just raising themselves, but they're on the streets. And I said, wow, what could I have done to help them? What could I have done to assist them? What number could I have given them? What information could I have given to 11-year-old boys to help them? I didn't know. Out of all of 18 years in this work, I had no answer. No answer. But I'm looking at this, and I know something is really, really wrong. And I'm thinking, if I would have had some answers or some resources or some services just to give them, I might have felt a little better when they walked away out of my eyesight. You know, so that's just, I hope there's some advocacy for children that are on the streets.
Yeah, so thank you very much for sharing that. I see you in the background. I'm gonna get to you next, right? So I just want to disclose something to you real quickly that really hurts me. So when I returned back to the society, it took me about a year to go back to my community where I was born and raised at, which is over here in East Oakland. So when I decided that I was going back to my neighborhood, you know, which I was calling home, when I got there, home wasn't home anymore. My stepfather and his neighbors, they used to compete about who lawn is the darkest, greenest, thickest. They used to put paint on their houses every summer. I mean, Oakland was a beautiful place for children to live, right? And I benefited from that. But when I went back there, not only did my mother and my stepfather lose their home to that housing crisis, all their neighbors did as well. And the neighbors who were still remaining in the community was literally sleeping out on the street in tents. And when I pulled up, I seen children running from tent to tent as if they was going from house to house or apartment to apartment. It was so normalized, and quite naturally, I took on the guilt. I was like, what, excuse my language, what the fuck that I did to my community, right? Because I sold cocaine some almost 40 years ago in Oakland. And I was like, this is what I did to my community. So one day I was up on my forklift up in Tesla, depressed, and I called a member from my relapse prevention team. And I called him and I told him what I was feeling. I'm feeling trapped in. I feel like I'm in prison because I want to help my community, but I'm up here in Tesla and I can't get out. And about 2 days later, I got a mysterious phone call. And the phone call went something like this. It was like, hey, homeboy, I heard your plea. I'm going to bail you out. He said, and by the way, the current condition of your community had nothing to do with your drug selling some 30-something years ago. And he started explaining to me about mass incarceration. And I was incarcerated for 30 years, so I know about incarceration, but what you mean by mass incarceration? And he was telling me about gentrification. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know about all that, man. I got to learn that. He said, well, just consider this your first, you just passed your first interview. He said, come in for an in-person interview. And I went to his office, and he hired me. And by the way, his name is Dorsey Nunn. He is the executive director of Legal Service for Prisoners with Children and a proud founder and co-founder of Olive Oyster Nunn. So Dorsey Nunn had gave me a political platform. He gave me a political literacy education to go back and help rebuild my community. And with that education he gave me, I opened up a youth organization called Takwa's Youth Diversion. And as I explained to you earlier, I do deal with children as young as 5 years old. And I deal with adults all the way up to at least 35 years old, because the majority of us that went inside the prison system that had children when we were 16 and 15 years old, when we came back home, we still had that mentality. So not only do we continue to need to be raised, but our children need to be raised as well. So I deal with from 5 years old all the way up to 35 years old. And in regards to helping our children back, I'm gonna ask anyone who would like to collaborate with us to let's put pressure on this government in Alameda County, because they have all these buildings that's boarded up. And I don't understand how they're getting paid to keep these buildings boarded up. But in every big building you see where we can house our youth, we can house our youth who are transitioning from homelessness. We can house our youth who is transitioning from incarceration, and our youth who's coming out of foster care. We can house our youth in these buildings. But I don't understand, when you ride through Oakland, you can see people and children sleeping in front of these boarded up buildings. So I'm asking y'all, let's collaborate. Let's put pressure on this government to turn these buildings over to the community members where we can beautify and uplift our communities. And I believe my information. You had a question back there. You had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, what, as being formerly incarcerated, like, in the community, what can we do to help get this law to pass for, in Alameda County, for the housing?
Fair Chance Housing. We have a brochure on this table right here which says all of us or none. You can take my card. We can ask to use space here. We can meet here. We can collaborate on next steps on getting this ordinance passed in Oakland and in Alameda County, as we did in Oakland and in Berkeley.
Great, thank you.
I don't see Danny. What did my time look like?
Danny, she stepped in with Tamika.
Okay.
And I have one more comment. I don't know
Yes.
if people know, Oakland was approached for a proposition, a couple of, I think this is right before the pandemic hit, and that's that pandemic. Woo! Let's talk about that. So during the I think before the pandemic happened, Carnival Cruises had reached out to Oakland. They retired, Carnival Cruises, eventually they have to retire some of their cruise ships. Some of the ships have to retire. And they approached Oakland with an idea. If anybody has been on a cruise ship has 3,000 rooms, equipped with a bathroom and amenities for a person to rest. And we were approached with that idea to bring the cruise ship in as a pilot, just to deal with our homeless crisis. And I don't know if you all know, Oakland declined the approach.
Did they say why?
Money, too expensive. And I said, wow, that was to me, I said, that's 3,000 rooms already. We don't have to build no house. We don't have to wait for no permits. We don't have to wait for this is already on the water. People, we got thousands of people that gets on cruise ships every day. And it's a beautiful ship. And I just want to know, sometimes do we want opportunities, or do we want to just keep it like it is so we can,
You made a statement that you said that we had failed our
have
next generation.
Yeah, we have failed.
And I want to let you know, sister, respectfully, I want to disagree and say that we was tricked, because it's been an elaborate plan. We're behind on a 50-year plan,
I agree with that.
right? And it goes all the way back to red zoning, red lining,
I agree with that.
right?
But
Remedies. The remedies are, right, and that goes to the theme of our talk today, which is our new horizon.
Right. But when they turned that opportunity down, I said, what kind of people do we have up in here? What kind of people is running it right now that you would not even consider it? You talked about the money. I said, but this is something that we could be leading a platform in this right now, and converting the cruise ship into 3,000, rooms for people to come and live.
Let me say this. There are systems that's still in place that are harming our communities,
Correct.
right? And I state that to say reparations, right?
about it.
Reparations is upon us, right? So we must get involved politically, right? We must get involved politically. We must go to our high schools and get our young folks involved politically. A new horizon, right? We have new leadership, which is the formerly incarcerated population. Let's get behind our formerly incarcerated population, our new leadership, and let's take our cities back over, right? Let's rebuild the systems who harmed our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our parents, and are continually harming our children. How are we looking on time? I know I'm past my time.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt if you guys want to continue asking questions. I do want to offer food in the next couple minutes, a raffle. So if we want to take a pause to do that, or
I'm just going to say thank you all for your time and your attention. Thank you. And let's get together, let's collab, and I'm going to turn it back over to Dad.